It looks like we're all here that are going to come here. We're missing Denny and Jess this evening, but I'd like to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. The first item we have is assignment for request for council action. We have several for the Finance Committee. We have 2360 expenditure for Technology Engineering Group IT Department. 2361 change order for Target of Opportunity Grant AM Plumbing. 2362 tenant-based rental assistance program from MMHA. 2363 amend ordinance 20322 Westmouth Road reconstruction phase 4. 2364 increase PO 2023-823 best equipment Co streets. 2365 expenditure of Lake County Sewer Co for the streets. 2366 advance request. 2367 budget amendments. 2368 general liability insurance renewal. 2369 cybersecurity liability insurance renewal. 2370 expenditure of 15,000 DNR commercial flooring MCRC. 2371 increase expenditure PO 230285 Parks Department, and 2372 adopt MCRC sexual abuse and molestation prevention policy. Health and safety, we have 2373 amend salaries and benefits code 3105, add one full-time dispatcher for the police. Water and Utilities Committee, 2374, water rates and related items. Next item is 2360, payment for technology engineering, Meraki support for the IT department. We have a guest, I guess it'll be a guest this evening, Justin Fields, which I said, who's that guy over there? But he's always in the basement, so he came up to enlighten us on the technology engineering, Meraki support IT. Justin?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is an annual license and support renewal for all of the Meraki switches and firewalls throughout the city.
Okay, any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2347, a then and now for Pioneer Technology for the Muni Court. And this is also another one, the next one, item number 4, 2348 is a then and now for Pioneer Technologies for the Muni Court. And Mr. Salzgeber's here to talk about that. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. President. These then and nows with Pioneer Technology, the benchmark software system, are due to the fact that we were deliberately withholding monies in order to get them to implement some protocols that were not getting done. We've resolved the accounting issues. There was a roughly $18,000 garnishment discrepancy that we needed to deal with, and that was finally dealt with. So at that point, I authorized the $8,000, which is the one then and now, was the balance for 2021, and the $33,000, the other then and now, is the actual annual contractual payment to Pioneer Benchmark.
So when we do the then and now, I guess the question is, when we were holding the money, and this was kind of the question that I had last time, was a PO issued on it to pay something that was previously paid, or I'm just trying to figure out, we paid them already, I assume. Should we not have held it? I guess is the question. I know we held it for a long time.
I held the money. We weren't getting any response, so withholding payment eventually produced the response that we...
So we authorized the payment, then you held it. And I guess that's the question. If we already authorized it through a PO and you withheld it, why do we have to do it again? Why would it be a then and now if it's already been...
When I put in the PO, it was at the end of the year, and it was not something that was able to be acted upon before January 1st.
Is that, I mean, I guess I don't...
The determination of whether it's then and now is if the service was received before council's approval to pay it, and the service has already been received, so it is.
But I thought we approved to pay it when we got the system, because we approved the maintenance contract and all the other payments that were supposed to be due under it. That's what I'm confused at.
I understand what you're saying, and we did, but we didn't pay on that approval because they held it, because they had issues with them, which, I mean, I'm not complaining they held it. I understand why they
But I mean,
hold it.
if he didn't hold it and paid it, we wouldn't be approving it again. That's my point. I mean, it wouldn't be a then and now because we already approved it. I guess that's where I'm confused. Because I always thought a then and now was like, when we have a train accident, we had to hurry up and fix it. But here, we've already approved the payment, but he just didn't pay it. So he could pay it whenever he wanted to pay it. Couldn't he have? That's my question. I just want to get straight in my mind what a then and now is.
Yeah, but I don't think we still have the old PO open.
Oh, it closed after the year.
Right, that's why.
okay,
So
there you go.
because that lapsed, you're now, yes, you did previously
I
approve
understand.
it, but you're now approving it
Okay, because I
again.
didn't know if there was my confusion. I thought a PO once issued stayed open. But it
No,
sounds like
It
it's.
depends.
It can stay open, but you have to request it to stay
Right.
open.
I
We,
gotcha.
the blankets automatically close, and then the rest of them, we send out at the end of the year and say, hey, these are your POs. If you want them kept, you got to tell us to keep them open, otherwise they're going to close.
And this was from 2021.
Well, the one was from 2021 and one was from 2022.
I got you. I understand it now. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Because I was confused. That's what my question was, because I didn't understand why we would be approving something that we've already approved, but I get it now, because the PO elapsed. So, I get it. Okay, so we'll do the first one would be 2347 for the Pioneer Technology, that first one.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. And the next one's 2348, then and now for Pioneer Technology, the second one.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right, thanks, Joe. Thanks for
Thank you.
clearing that up. 2361, amend ordinance 15022, A&M Plumbing Target of Opportunity Grant. Barbara?
This is a request to a change order for the amount of $5,507.06 to finish out the plumbing at the battered women's shelter. They're getting near the end. I think they're planning an open house in May sometime, so that's good news. When we went to process this, Finance pointed out that there was not enough money to cover the change order in the grant. So we had to reach out to Hope and Healing, which is the battered women's shelter's parent company. And you should have received a new packet, and in your new packet tonight, the last document is a commitment letter from Hope and Healing that they will pay the $427.06, which is the overage that the grant can't cover. So the grant will pay $5,080, and Hope and Healing will pay the rest.
Any questions?
Emergency clause.
Pardon?
You requested emergency clause.
Emergency clause, yes.
Move to approve with the emergency clause.
My second includes the emergency clause.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 2362, the Tenant-Based Rental Assistance Program from MMHA. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is our tenant-based rental assistance program, which is through our program year 22 CHIP grant. It is for income-qualified residents for the first month's rent, security deposit, utility deposits, things of that nature. That's been run through Medina Metropolitan Housing Authority for a number of years. This is to authorize us to enter into contract with MMHA to have them administer the project. It's at $16,000 is the total, with 10% going to MMHA. Emergency clause has been requested as the CHIP program is in effect, and we'd like to start distributing those funds. The law department has been provided with it. I'm not sure if they've had a chance to look over the contract yet, though. Thank you.
Mr. Huber? Have you reviewed it?
I can't remember.
Subject to law director approval.
I'll make the motion to, subject to final approval of the law director of the agreement and with the emergency clause.
My second is with the approval of the law department, and second, it also includes the emergency clause.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 2363, amend ordinance 20322, West Smith Road reconstruction. Patrick?
Thank you, Mr. President. Prior to the start of the project, the city of Medina County entered into an MOU where the county agreed to pay 100% of the cost of the sanitary sewer improvement. During construction, the county has directed the contractor to do additional improvements beyond what was in the base bid of the contract. So this is a request to increase the dollar amount in the ordinance with our contractor by $125,000 to cover these costs. It's essentially a pass-through for us. The county will be paying for this.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 2364, increase PO 2023-823, best equipment code for the streets. Nino?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is for our 2013 Freightliner VACOL.
The unit is an expensive piece of equipment. It's been serving the city well for years. We're having some issues with it. It doesn't seem to, the suction fan is not working for what the mechanics are telling us. So it has to go to best equipment for scanning and diagnostic tools that are above what we have, our capabilities at the garage. We use this unit in conjunction with the jet sewer and for street sweeping as well. And are we good on the account number? I apologize for that. We had a typo. Instead of 105, it's supposed to be 102-0615.
Yeah, I think Kathy has that.
Okay, thank you, Kathy and Lily, for that.
Any other questions?
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 2365, expenditure for Lake County Sewer Co. for the streets. You know?
Thank you, Mr. President. So we've been very successful in the last 4 years, specifically with the grouting of pipe, the storm sewer, where we have failures that are either deep or under pavement. So in the last 4 years, since 2019, we've grouted 6,246 feet of our concrete sewer pipe that was in need of repair. Different sizes, 8-inch, 12-inch, 15, and even 24-inch. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 2366, advance request. Keith?
Thank you, Mr. President. These are a couple advances for projects that we have.
Questions?
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 2367, budget amendments. We have, the first one's 2314, repairs to Reagan Park. What is this one about? Is this Jansen?
Yeah, this is a check to make some repairs to athletic fields.
All right.
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 2023-15 miscellaneous. Keith?
There's a lot going on here, but most of these are these grant projects that we talked about and the ARPA money.
Okay.
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 2368, general liability insurance renewal. Mayor?
Trying to keep up, John. So the general liability, we just got the information last week, and I don't know if your request for council action has the number on it. It had to be determined. The number is actually
Yep.
$210,399. If I get back to the notes, it's a sheet that says April 1st, 2023 renewal, City of Medina at the top, and then there's 3 columns. If you look at the narrative below that, there's some explanation as to the increase from 193 to 210,399. And in a nutshell, what it is somehow the insurance company, although they covered all the vehicles, they didn't charge us for all the vehicles last year, and then they caught the mistake. So now they've increased the number of vehicles instead of increasing it by the 49 that it actually was. They chose to increase it incrementally. So this year they added 12 more vehicles, although they count all our vehicles, 142. They did increase the vehicle amount significantly as a result of that. Actually, Weichert was shocked because the amount they were charging us, if you broke it down per vehicle, was probably less than what the rest of us are paying for our own car insurance. They thought it was unusual, but thought they were just being aggressive with the bid last year to get our business. Turns out it was just a mistake with them getting all the vehicles entered in. They've also increased our property, our property value from $61,400,000 to $67,700,000. So then, obviously, the insurance on those vehicles went up as well. And they added 3 additional drones. So those things together is what ended up with the increase of $210,399. We do need the emergency clause, please, because it expires on April 1st. So the plan is Mr. Huber will discuss this again with you at council on March 27th. And as long as we pass it with the emergency clause, it will be in effect for April 1st. Because it's a renewal, there are no documents or paperwork to sign. But I will share with the council, I asked them this year to do the same thing we did with the health care, and that is get these bids ready sooner so that we can present it to council in February. I'm sorry, they can get the renewal to us in February to review and go over, get it to council, get it to council in February so we can pass it without the emergency clause. And they're going to do their best to do that.
Yeah, I know sometimes that's difficult because the numbers come in so late.
Right, right.
Anybody have any questions?
Move to approve with the emergency clause?
Second includes the emergency clause?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 2369, cybersecurity liability insurance renewal. I guess Justin left already, but okay.
No, that's for me.
Oh, it is for you, okay.
Yeah, so we bid this at the same time. We did have Crane Langner take a look at this rather than liability because they were involved the last time with the liability. And the number before it was to be determined, this time it's 24,375, which on the second page, where you'll see the summary, is actually less than the $30,000 that we paid in 2022. And some of the coverages are larger. That's on my second page here. Give me just 1 second. So some of the others had last year was the increased coverage is $2 million versus $1 million. And there's also a $250,000 sublimit compared to $25,000 that we had with Tokyo. So not only are we getting better coverage, but we're getting it for a little bit lower than what we paid last year, saving nearly $6,000. And it's their recommendation that we go with this. This will need the emergency clause also because it has the same expiration of April 1st, 2023.
Thank you. Any questions?
Move to approve with the emergency clause?
Second includes the emergency clause?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 2370, expenditure of $15,000 of DNR commercial flooring MCRC. Jansen?
Thank you, Mr. President. This request is to replace the original carpet in community rooms B and C at the rec center. Typically, this expense would be split with the school, but this project is going to provide new opportunities for the rec center. So we presented this to the rec advisory committee and talked to the school. And we're looking to fund this project with carry forward so that we can get it done sooner. By having a LVP plank flooring, it allows us to expand our options and use these rooms when they're not being used for parties or meetings as studio space. So we're looking to get this installed so we can continue to expand our programs and better utilize the facility.
Any questions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields?
even though the city's paying for it completely, it does benefit a building that's owned by my employer, so I'm going to abstain.
All right, I don't think this has emergency clause, does it?
It's finance only.
Oh, this is, yeah, okay, here, that's fine, it's only. All right, then we can have enough votes if 4 people vote, okay.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 2371, increase PO 23285 for the Parks Department. Jansen?
Thank you, Mr. President. Typically, when we purchase fertilizer for our athletic fields, we stay below the $15,000 threshold. But fertilizer has been substantially affected with price increases. We're seeing prices about 30% from where they were prior to COVID. So we made an original order earlier this year, hoping we could beat the price increase. Our original order was under $15,000. We do soil samples on our fields to see where the pH is at, to see if we need to do additional product. We do need to make some soil amendments. So this request is to cover the change in product and the additional cost for that.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Rose?
Jensen, with the cost going up, I know it's going crazy all over the world, but have you talked to maybe one of the local lawn maintenance providers to see if maybe you could pool your resources and maybe get a lower unit cost?
We actually purchase from the same place that they do. These are large turf grass companies, and we do get volume pricing as it is. We order material, pay for it in advance, and it gets delivered as we need it, just like Lawn Care Company does. So there's really no benefit there
Okay.
for us to work with them.
Right.
And we're using some specialty products. We don't use the same thing like a lot of lawn care companies would, just because we're doing athletic fields, they're doing lawns. It's kind of managed differently.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And 2372, adopt an MCRC sexual abuse and molestation prevention policy. Jansen?
Thank you, Mr. President. So the rec center has always had a zero tolerance for incidents of child abuse. Earlier last year, when we engaged Wickert for insurance, we met with a representative from Selective Insurance and kind of go through all of our processes to see what kind of risk we had at the rec center. Through that meeting, they had asked that we formalize a policy, and we agreed with it, kind of outlining what we were already doing, but formalizing it, designating a compliance officer, making some mandatory rules of 3, mandatory policy restricting unsupervised interaction between youth and children, implementing additional hiring practices, interview screening, background checks, fingerprinting for all employees that are responsible for childcare, particularly our camps, our rascal room, our swim instructors, where there's high likelihood of contact with youth. Mr. Huber had an opportunity to review the policy. We did forward it to our insurance company, who passed it on to Selective Insurance, and they also approved the policy. In order for us to get our renewal this year, they wanted this to be in process, so that's why it's in front of you today. We are already doing this and implementing it. It's just formalizing it, which we will do, and then we'll have those employees sign off on it that have contact with youth.
Thank you. Didn't we adopt a policy? I mean, we have one citywide, I think, don't we? A sexual,
That's sexual harassment.
and it's adopted through the rec center too.
It is.
And we also adopted through the rec center, when people register to be a member, there's a background or a check with respect to sexual.
Yep, we run that against the National Sex Offender Database, and that's also outlined in this policy.
So the question is, if we're adopting one for the rec center that's different than what we have here, should we adopt this for the city hall too? I guess
The insurance company, based on our meeting, wanted us to reduce our risks with those that have direct contact with the youth. So, our summer camp, there's 100 kids, there's, in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 counselors, and day to day, they're involved with those children, more so than the rest of our employees at the city. So we're
Okay.
taking this extra step to further protect us.
Okay.
The
I
rest,
imagine
the
there's
rest
no-
of the city, John, is not exposed to the
to
same
that.
thing.
I get you.
Yes, sir.
I was just wondering if the sports associations, in addition to the rec center, are involved in the same, activity, but probably not as much.
So in our sports fields regulations, we do require the associations to do appropriate certification of coaches.
Okay.
But those are completely separate from the city. Those are nonprofit organizations. We just permit them to use the field. In our policy, we do have that we will scan all non-employee coaches and volunteers against the National Sex Offender Registry. So when you're doing like youth basketball, for example, the head coach, which is a volunteer, is required to submit who's going to be an assistant coach, and those all get checked against the database. They're not technically employees, but they are volunteers, so they're tied into this policy as well.
And the outdoor pools under the rec center, so they fall within this.
Correct.
All right. Any other questions?
Nope. Good. Thank you, Jansen. Move to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anything else that, before we recess into executive session, that needs to come before the Finance Committee? No? Okay.
If not, I'll make a motion at 6:25 PM to go into executive session for conferences with the law director of the city concerning disputes involving the city that are subject to pending or imminent court action to include the mayor and the law director.
A second?
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hare. Motion passes.
We'll be recessing into executive session, discussing the item presented imminent litigation by Mr. Shields. We're returning to finance and adjourning from finance, taking no action of any item discussed in executive session. We are in recess.